What if I told you that as an adult beginner, you could learn to play the violin beautifully like Lindsey Stirling, just by respecting 3 core rules? After playing the violin for 30 years, studying more than 800 books and teaching hundreds of students, I have found the most effective methods to master the violin. And today I will show you, step by step, how to play like Lindsey Stirling, by learning the secret of some of the best violinists worldwide. And core rule number 1 is how to reach Lindsey Stirling technical level on the violin. Because if you want to play like her, the first thing you will need is to be able to play every one of her pieces to reach the same technical level. For that, we'll first crystallize what you can see here. And what we want to look at is to really understand exactly which technique we need to master. That means which speed, so is the piece very fast or slow? Yeah, it's tempo 70. How fast has the rhythm to be played? Is this only in first position or in different position? Do you need some special techniques to be able to play it? So that we know exactly what you need to learn to be able to play it. So the first thing I saw when I look at the piece is that actually the fastest part is here, but actually it's not as fast as you would think. Actually the tempo is 70, and for the left hand you only need to play 16th, okay? Because every note it plays twice. That means that you need to master the technique of playing the bow twice as fast, but that's not really difficult. But for the left hand, actually it's not as fast as it looks like. And it's all in the first position. Well, let me show you. If I play that, the beginning is just... Okay, it's just first position, and it's not very fast for the left hand. Then it's just that the bow at the same time do that. Twice as fast. Okay, but that's actually not so hard to learn. Then the second thing I see is actually there is only one bar that's really high, where you really need to learn the high position, and that's here. It's actually in the 7th position. But it's actually the only bar and the highest thing. And it's in moderate speed. So then at the end we do have things that are a little bit faster, like here. Here the notes are not played twice, it's every note one time. That means we really need to play 32 notes. But actually the tempo is not so fast, so it's the same as playing 16th note in tempo 120. But it's only in the first position. And then, of course, you will need to learn the vibrato too, so that it really sounds beautiful, but we will see that later on. Okay, and so on. So now if you look at the second pieces, All of Me, that she plays with John Legend. So here you can see that's our play-along software that we use with the Violinacademy, our arrangement of it. And if you look at it, actually, the tempo is quite fast, 130, but you need only to play F note in first and third position. And let's say like that, the whole pieces, the highest it's at the end, here, when you go to the 4th position. Okay, but it's the same, it's only in 8th note, but tempo 130. And for me, that's the same as tempo 65 in 60th notes, so that's actually not very fast. So, on now that you know exactly what's needed to be learned, I can tell you exactly how to get there. And here the important things here is that that's not so difficult, okay? That's not Paganini, those are not the most complicated, most difficult pieces for the violin. With the Violin Pyramid Method, that will be like a level 20 difficulty that is needed, okay? That means that you could probably achieve this technical level if you are really doing the right thing within probably 5 years. And by that, by the way, I'm not saying that Lindsey Stirling could not play Paganini or something like that, yeah, probably she could, I don't know. But the thing is that to play those specific pieces that she's playing, you don't need to have the highest possible level on the violin. And I know when you listen to her, it sounds really impressive, yeah, and probably you think it's not possible to play like her, but the thing is that if you are really ready to put the time and the effort, you could really reach a similar level within 5 years. And of course, you will not be playing exactly like her, okay? Especially the dancing and all those things, that's just herself. But you could be playing like yourself with a similar technical level and become as good or maybe better, who knows. And I know a lot of people will tell you that it's impossible, that you need I don't know what, but the truth is that when I decided to become a professional, my teachers told me it was impossible and I would never made it. But 10 years later, I played then in concert in TV for more than 1 million people. So I'm sure one day you could play amazingly well. On the first step, that will be mastering the violin with basic exercises instead of practicing pieces, okay? That's really a core thing, okay? When you look at all the best violinists worldwide, how they learn the violin, one of the most common pattern we see is that they didn't try to learn the violin by playing piece after pieces for hours a day. Instead, they really focus on learning the common pattern you find on the violin. For example, if you have a look again at the crystallized piece, yeah, if we look at this here, actually just A, F, D, A, F, it's just a D-moll arpeggio, okay? And if we look later on at the similar thing at the end, here where that's really fast, that's exactly the same, okay? It's just a D-moll arpeggio. And when you look at every piece, you will see that there is common patterns, arpeggio like we just saw, and scales. This here, for example, it's an example from scales. Okay? This is a scale pattern, with each note next to one another. And that means, instead of repeating the pieces, we want to focus on learning those patterns. And especially, we don't just want to play like some random arpeggio and some random scales, we want to learn them step by step from the most simple one to the most complicated one until the level we need, okay? That means you don't need actually the most complicated one, you just only need those till level 20. So let me show you, for example, what we use with our students at the Violinacademy. So those are the exercises I wrote that are part of the Violin Pyramid Method. And the most easiest one that you will find by level 1, week 5, are exercises for just the first and second finger on the D string that you can see here. And basically they are really simple. The first one is just D, E, okay, in basic rhythm, like half note, quarter note, eighth note. And then we go to a first and second finger, then 0, 1, 2, okay, and then 0 to 2, and then 0 to 1, 2, okay? Those are actually every combination with the first and the second finger, and that's all. Then later on there are exercises, of course, for the third finger, later on for the fourth finger, and so on. And then at level 2, what we do is that we learn every string separately. First the A string, and here it's basically the same but with the 4th finger. The biggest difference is that you are learning a new finger pattern. This one, on the D string, we learn this one instead. And here, of course, they are with all 4 fingers, but still we do all combination, okay? 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, okay? And then later on, bigger combination too, with 3 or 4 notes, okay? Then later on, we learn the G string too, then the E string, okay? And then string crossing, that you really need to learn separately. So then if you go to level 3, we start doing 1 octave exercises in every major tonality. Okay, let me show you the PDF version. So it looks like that, that's only on 1 octave, okay? And we have the common scale with every tone after another, like we saw. Then we learn scale of third, that's a variation of the normal scale. Then we learn some standard arpeggio, like the 2 you can see here. And actually, it's very similar. It's D major arpeggio. Before in crystallized, it was D minor arpeggio. And basically, we do that for every major tonality from level 3 to level 5. Then, starting with level 6, we go to more complicated exercise on the complete first position. Here, we want to play every time all the notes on the first position. First, we learn the common scale, and we start at tempo 60, but you want to increase that in time. And we want to play them in all the basic rhythm, from half note till 16th note, to learn to play fast too. Here, we learn too the scale of thirds, different arpeggios, very important, and the chromatic scales too. And this for every major tonality. Then, in the meantime, we learn some very important technique too, like mastering the vibrato, that will be important in this case, and other techniques, like for the bows. But starting level 10 is where we start learning the third position. So, when you start learning the third position or any position, the first thing you want to learn are shifting exercises, okay? And basically by doing one finger exercises, just shifting with one finger only. Then the next thing you want to do is to learn to play in the position itself. That means without shifting, just learning to play in the third position by practicing the basic pattern, the scales, arpeggio and so on, just on this position. And then basically we just increase the difficulty with the time. Those are, for example, arpeggio in other tonality. Here in phase 2 we go to more complicated exercises on the complete third position. We introduce one string scales from first to third position too, and so on. So now you will need a second thing. Core rule number 2, how to play the violin beautifully like Lindsey Stirling. And here first you really need just to understand what beautifully means, okay? And actually, if you were to listen to air and analyze it, you will see that actually there is really just 5 pillars, and that's the same for every violinist. It's part of the Violin Pyramid Method. And the first one is the sound. Does the tone really sound good? That's really just what you're doing with the bow. The first thing you need is to have a beautiful sound with the bow. Then the second thing is the intonation. You really need to hit the right note with every finger. Okay? That will make that it sounds beautifully. Then the third thing is that the rhythm. Okay? If you hear at Lindsey Stirling, you will see that a rhythm is like really precise, really metronomics, okay? And that's really important. For example, she will play that very rhythmic. That's what it means, okay? It's not like la fa da 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 da, just chaotic. It's just very structured. And the next thing is the tempo. So the tempo is under the music, okay? Actually, she's dancing when she's playing, and that would not be possible if a tempo was not stable, okay? So that's a very important aspect too. And the last one is musicality, that we'll see in details later on. So now, one very important thing is the theory of constraints, how to play the violin beautifully. Here, the goal is to identify what's holding you back, because the problem that I see with a lot of people is that they play, they don't like it, but they can't really pinpoint what is good, what is bad. And the goal of the theory of constraints is identifying what's holding you back to play like you want to play. And basically you want to record yourself and then analyzing it with the 5 pillars we just saw to find which pillar exactly you need to improve. And then what you need to do is to do specific exercises and use specific methods that are developed for each pillar. And by the way, we organize a free violin masterclass. So if you want to learn to play the violin beautifully, you can register for free. The link is under this video. And here, something very important here is that you really need to focus on playing beautifully from day one. Okay? That's a big mistake I see a lot of beginners do, is that they think, or sometimes their teacher thinks or says, that it will sound better later. But actually, it's not really true. It should sound from the beginning 90% like a professional. Okay, it will not sound like 1-to-1, that's normal too, but it should sound like 90%. If you play and it sounds like 50%, so let's say you play a note on an open string and it sounds like that, or that's not good. Okay, it should sound good. So maybe not as beautifully as a professional, but it should sound good. The same with the intonation. If the tone are completely wrong, it makes no sense. Okay, it should be very accurate. Maybe not every single time, not 100% perfect, but still very good. And for achieving that, you really need to focus on learning everything perfectly from the start. That means having a perfect bow grip, perfect posture here with the left hand, everything like the best professional violinists do it from the start. So now if you do those 2 first things, it will sound already very good, but you will be missing one very important thing. Core rule 3, how to sing with the violin like Lindsey Stirling. And here, it's the thing. It's not enough to have a perfect technique, to have the violin sounds beautifully. When you look at Lindsey Stirling playing, it's like, it just sounds like so emotional, beautiful, free, and so on. And to be able to do that, you need a few things. And the first thing is that you need to forget about the technique. Okay? That could sound interesting because I told you the whole time that you need to focus on building your technique step by step, doing specific exercises, but that's one part. The second part is just playing, really, okay? And for that, you need to forget about the technique. Just try playing, and if something is wrong, if one tone is wrong, if the sound is not good, just forget it, continue playing, and try having fun playing. Because that's really a big mistake I see a lot of people do, is that they always think like, I will play free and beautifully when I have this level, okay? And I see that even by people that are like studying violin professionally, and some of them can play like Paganini Caprice, or they have like level 40 on the violin, they can play the most difficult pieces, but still, they are still so always focused on the technique, and so it doesn't really sound interesting, yeah? It's very often boring to listen to them, and so on. So what you really want to do is just forget it and play what you want to play, okay? And you don't need to be a professional for that, you could do that with beginner pieces too. So on them, for that to sound good and for you to be really able to focus on the music only and not on the technique, the second thing is that you need to do your homework. What it means for me is that you need to have 200% technical preparation. From one side, by learning the violin step by step, like we said, doing a lot of specific step-by-step technical exercises. And the other part is really practicing your piece step by step with some specific method. Okay? For example, with the Violin Pyramid Method, yeah, I developed this 7-step framework that's really effective to learn every piece perfectly. So now the next very important things that will really help you forget about the technique and really playing musically is to play by head. That's really a mistake I see a lot of our students do, yeah, that they will just play with the music sheet because it's easier, okay? And because of that, they play, but they are really focused the whole time on reading the notes. So what you want is really to play the music by head, and maybe it sounds difficult, but there is technique for that. Here how. What you need to do is that from the very beginning you are learning a piece, you should practice everything by head. Okay, that means don't wait 2 months that you can play the piece perfectly to start playing it by head. Do it from the very beginning. Always practicing like only 1 bar at a time with different variation and so on, piece by piece, and then bigger pieces. Like it could be at the beginning 1 bar, 1 bar, 1 bar, later on 2 bars, 2 bars, 2 bars, later on 4 bars, and so on. And then you will see that to play it by head is super easy because it's what you did the whole time. And the last thing is copy like an artist. So that's really important. If you want to really play like an artist, like Lindsey Stirling, you need to learn this context, copy like an artist. What it means is that instead of just trying yourself to play musically but don't really knowing maybe how to do it, what you want to do first is just copy some famous violinists. Could be Lindsey Stirling and a lot of other ones. And just what you want to do is to take 1 bar, 1 easy pieces that you can play, and you want to listen how she's playing it, then try to play it exactly the same way. Then listening again, then trying to play it exactly like her again. So let's take again the example with the 32 notes. I will listen first how she plays it, and then I will just try to do the same. With exactly the same intensity, maybe doing the same movement, just try really to play it like her. Okay, then I will listen again and do the same again. Okay? By doing that, with things that you can play, yeah, that you can easily copy, you will learn to play like her. But then you should not stop at this, okay? You should really choose a lot of different professional violinists and copy from a lot of them doing the same. And then you do that with 10, 20, 30 of the best violinists worldwide, you will develop your own way of playing. You will find your own personality, the thing you like, the thing you don't like, and you will be able to play exactly like you want.